Hi. Movie recap here.
Today we are going to talk about a mercenary, Mehdi Belhaji, whose niece was kidnapped and was asked to hijack a truck full of cocaine in exchange for his niece. Please like and subscribe to this channel for more exciting recaps. Remember, your views does all the work. An experienced and heavily armed mercenaries, led by Mehdi Belhaji, rob gold stones from an anonymous mob. In another situation across town, her teenage niece, Shaniz, and her lover, Liana, sneak into the Stanhope Hotel to make money posing as a prostitute, lure men into dates and rob them. While she and her accomplice steal the man's belongings, she mistakenly drops her purse when her ID fell. But they didn't know he was a drug courier. They were surprised to find 8 kilos of cocaine in his bag. Meanwhile, Mehdi's brother convinced Mehdi that they should quit robbing because they have made enough money, and Mehdi agrees. The man from the hotel informs the Moroccan drug lord Saber that 2 escort girls have stolen his 8 kilos of coke. He then kidnaps the niece, Shaniz, and demands the return of his drugs. The inexperienced teenage thieves try to sell the cocaine to a low-level dealer, but the dealer's gang takes the drugs without paying. Mehdi spots the drug courier around their house, quickly captures him and saw Shani's ID in his pocket. He tortures him until he confessed that Shaniz stole 8 kilos of cocaine from him at the hotel, which belongs to the man who captured her. Mehdi made a deal with the drug lord Saber. Promised he will find and return the coke in exchange for his niece. One of the teenagers makes up a story about the cocaine being owned by a Moroccan drug mafia in order to make them return it. Meanwhile, the low-level dealers have decided to teach the teenagers a lesson. Mehdi tracks the teenage accomplice and her friends to an RV warehouse. The heavily armed drug gang arrives to threaten the teenage thieves. At the same time, Mehdi holds the accomplice at gunpoint and searches for the whereabouts of the cocaine. The heavily armed drug gang arrives to threaten the teenage thieves. Then Mehdi and the teenagers escape under a hail of bullets. Mehdi and the teenage accomplice, Liana, recover the cocaine from the drug gang. Meanwhile, the drug lord Saber faces conspiracies from his relatives who work in his drug business. Another drug lord, Chris DeWitt, informs Saber's adoptive cousin Sophia about Saber illegally peddling coke in his territory. Saber tells Sophia that he will steal Chris's product so that all his cash will be his. Mehdi returns the drug to the drug lord Saber. But the drug lord does not return the kidnapped niece. He insisted that Mehdi should steal 300 kilos of cocaine at the port of Antwerp, which belongs to Chris. Mehdi agreed and contacted his gang to carry out the dangerous heist. In a panic, Sophia informed her uncle, Saber's father, Hassan Jebli, of Saber's greedy act. Hassan tried to contact Saber, but he did not take his calls or speak to his father. Since childhood, Saber had an ambivalent relationship with his father and thus wanted to start his chain of command. Hassan arrived in Brussels to curb his son's greed. However, it has emerged that Hassan has been convicted in Belgium and faces 10 years in prison if caught. Despite this danger, he came to Saber. He warned Saber to understand the seriousness of the situation. But Saber didn't flinch. After a massive brawl, Mehdi and his elite gang of mercenaries stole Chris DeWitt's 300 kilos of coke and brought it to a safe house. Whilst they were loading the drugs from the truck into a van, Chris DeWitt and his men showed up. Little did they know, the truck had a tracker installed. There was a series of gunfight. On fleeing, Liana's brother, Modi, was shot and killed by Chris. Mehdi makes preparations to meet Saber, the drug lord, in exchange for his niece, whilst the teenagers mourn the death of their brother Modi. The drug courier calls Mehdi and talks about a meeting point. Later that night, Mehdi went with Liana to deliver the drugs to the drug courier in exchange for his niece. They were asked to go on their knees whilst they inspect and confirm the drugs. The courier intended to put a bullet in Mehdi's brain, but the mercenaries end up killing them. One of the drug gang held a gun to Shayna's head, but without hesitation, Mehdi put him down with one bullet in the head, rescuing Shayna's. Chris threatened Sophia to kill Saber if he didn't get his coke. Saber's wife Karoli revealed to Sophia that Hassan Jebli was arrested 30 years ago for drug trafficking and only spent 6 months in prison. Authorities were unable to gather substantial evidence against him because prominent witnesses were tracked down and killed by Hassan. These witnesses were Sophia's parents, and Saber knew about the murder. However, to protect Sophia from threats and hatred, he hid the information. Sophia later discovered that she was pregnant with a daughter and therefore decided not to let her daughter grow up in a world with Hassan Jebli. She orchestrated a plan to turn Chris against Hassan and get rid of the monster once and for all. When Hassan decided to return Chris's cargo, Sophia shrewdly persuaded him not to return it but to sell it for half price in France. Hassan bought Sophia's blueprints and thus ordered his hitman Danique to get rid of Lina and Modi, who was receiving treatment in the hospital because they were caught in the heist, in order to clear out all evidence. Hassan tried to send Saber to Morocco for his safety, but Saber refused, running away like a coward. Mehdi transports his niece Shaynaz to his safe house in a forest where her mother was waiting. She was very happy to finally see her mother again. Hassan contacts Mehdi to surrender Liana, but Mehdi refuses. Whilst Liana visits Modi in the hospital, Hassan's bodyguard Danique came to kill Modi on his bed when Liana went to get water from the washroom. Liana, who almost got shot by Danique, was saved by Mehdi after she tried attacking Danique. There was a series of gunfight, leaving multiple nurses injured. Shaynaz and her mother were attacked in a road chase by Danique, ordered by Hassan. Shaynaz's mother ran over Danique, leaving her unconscious. Saber denounced his father and informed the authorities of Hassan's whereabouts. The police arrested Hassan and threw him in jail.